Hello, on my last video we went through the steps that you need to take to create equipment containers and to place equipment inside those containers. At that time we created a container which we're going to look at right now. So I've already spoken now how you navigate through all these pages. So we're just going to look for the last item, which is the last one that I've created, is the one that I used in the last how-to video. So it's this container, as you can see, is container 68, and if we go inside and look at its properties, we can see what the container contents are. And there we go, we have a motor. And by the way, let me just go up here in case you have not seen the previous video. We're talking about two motors such as the one in the picture that we have, and one is in storage and the other one is in service, as you can see in here. And this is something that is picked up from the properties of each equipment and then displayed on the containers, on the container properties page, I'm sorry. So if you want to know which is which, then you know that ID66, this motor with this serial number, is in storage, and this other one is in service. So what we're going to do now is we're going to manipulate or we're going to use that equipment in like a work order flow and see how information is logged and how information needs to be added to the system. So let's create a work order. There's also a video on how you can do this, and let's just say that I want to there's something wrong with one of the motors. So we go to the same functional location, which is that. If you've not seen my previous video, you can take a look and see, but it doesn't really matter for this example. And then okay, we have a breakdown. It's a priority 2. It's not really an emergency because say we have a redundant unit, so it's a priority 2. And motor breakdown, seawater, I just put seawater pump motor breakdown, big noise, please check and eventually replace the unit. Okay, so this is the work request being created, so we're going to do it now. So okay, so work order 829 has been created. Let's go to the dashboard and pick it up. So I'm organization admin in this account, so I have access to everything here. So there we go, so it's here, 829, seawater pump motor breakdown. It's still a work request. It was created at the time that it was created, and the priority level. So we'll go inside that work order, and keep in mind that what we're doing right now is really just to manage spare parts, so that's what I'm going to focus on. So come down here, and you see this section here that says add parts. Okay, so we're gonna look at some motor. So let's go look for it like this, and as you can see, okay, there's two motors. There's a 66 and a 67, and like we saw in the beginning of the video, both of them are inside a container. Now on this list you don't see containers, you only see discrete equipment, because when you're working on work orders, that's what you're concerned about. You are either going to remove a certain motor from its current location in the field, or you're going to remove it from stock. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the motors, but we need to know which one. So I don't remember which one it is. So open link in new tab so that we don't lose the work order. So we open the dashboard on a new tab up here. So this is the dashboard. So currently I have two tabs. One is this one, the other one has the original work order I was looking at. So then in here I need to go to equipment and tools, and then basically I want to know which one is in service and which one is currently in storage. So let's go take a look here, and okay, all right, they're inside here. So okay, I go 68, and inside 68 then we have information about the two motors I'm concerned about and details. And okay, I see that 66 is in storage. So I go back to the work order, and I have to refresh the view here, and I select 66, and it's only one. and I'm going to put it in service, so I'm going to install it. So I add it right now, and as you can see, it's got item 66 times 1 to installation, and it's a Siemens DH1 electric motor. Now I want to remove the one that is in there, and I want to put it to repair. So this is the other one, is 67, as we saw, and I'll refresh the page. As we saw, 67 is in service. So we want to take it out and put it to repair. So we add that to the list over here. So now, as you can see, we have item 66, one that is going to go out of stock to service, and 67, which is currently is broken. It's got a problem and needs to be removed and taken to repair. So by the way, you have this option here where you can select one. If you can do what I did, which is create another tab and get the information from there, or you can just select the item and then click info, which will by itself open another tab where you can see the information related to each of the items on this list. But I already know what's going on, so I'm not going to do that. And basically what I'm going to do at this moment is then add these two items, or the movement of these two items onto this work order, which you do like this. So okay, so I've done it. I go do the job, and okay, I come back and I look at my order, and let's go down to the parts usage section. So as you can see, then it's the two items that I took out. One to install, 66 from stock to install, and 67 from the field to repair. The approval for this movement is still pending. Okay, so this is typically because a technician will do the job, and then either the stock person or the inventory control person or the procurement department will then need to approve this, or even his supervisor, the technician supervisor, will need to approve it. So actually, because like I said, I've got all permissions in this system, I can have all roles. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to be the manager or the supervisor, and I'm going to approve this movement. By the way, when you do this, and even though the approval is still pending, the item has been removed from stock in some kind of a virtual manner, because if another user tries to use this at this moment, it will not be able to, because there is not enough quantity in stock. Now if I go to the approval pages, you will see next, and I say that no, actually this system was reserved in a work order, or this equipment was reserved in a work order, but then we didn't use it and we put it back to the warehouse, then I will not approve this move, and right after that, then another user can use that that equipment on his or her work order. Okay, so let's just approve this full movement. So for that, okay, I'm going to show you a nice shortcut for that. Okay, over here we have some shortcuts. I believe we spoke about this on a previous how-to video. We'll concentrate on these two, and now on this one here. So this is the link that applies the filters to the equipment search console to show you the items that are currently pending approval for movement. So okay, if we click that, we are taken to the equipment and tools, and you can see that it starts searching for something, and okay, it shows you that currently there are two items that need our attention, actually, because these items are unique items and we've moved them. So like I said, I had one that was in service and I took it out. That's -1 from the field position. They also affected the quantity, and so you have a warning that this and this, or both items, are under minimum quantity. But currently, actually, we're not looking at that. We are looking at the items that need some approval. So they're marked as needing approval for movement in the system. So we'll go in, okay, we'll go inside 66. And yet again, this is just the properties page. But at the top here, you can see that the item is pending approval. All right. Let's go do something. Actually, let's go and Okay, no, let's approve the item. So we go inside here, so you have to click on the edit button to approve an item, and when you do that, if the item is pending approval, then you have this box, this form that shows up in here. And if you want to approve the full quantity, you actually don't need to write anything on the text box, and you just click approve and it will approve one movement. And so this one, as you can see over here, is in service. So this is the one that we tagged as remove from stock and put in service. So we, in this case, okay, we're going to, if you don't want to approve this and you want to return this to stock, you can put a 0 over here and click approve, and what this will do is will actually say, okay, the manager, the supervisor did not approve this, or the technician did not really use this item, so it went back on in stock, so the quantity would be adjusted accordingly. But like I said, if you don't want to write anything in here, or if you want to write one, which means accept everything, let's just not write anything. If you forget about this, there's always this handy tip section here that says to cancel a request, approve a quantity of 0. An empty quantity revision box will approve all items. So that's exactly what we want to do. We want to approve all items. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so well, let's go back to the dashboard just to see something. So we'll follow the same link now that we have approved this item. We'll follow the same pending approval link that we did before, and we should get only one item on the pending approval list. So it's searching, and there we go. Okay, so we've already approved 66, we need to approve 67, so let's go ahead and do just that. Okay, and so we go over here, and as you can see, there's this form. We are going to approve this move, so and as you can see, it's in repair. And okay, let's do that again. Let's see if there's any pending items for approval, and we should have an empty form. There you go, no results. So let's look at all the items, and let's go take a look at the container that contains those two, because as I said before, we have this checked. So the items that are, or the equipment that are part of containers are not on this list. If you'd like to show that, you'd have to uncheck this checkbox here. So we go inside container 68, and there we go. So now we don't have any in stock, and we have well, let's see something here. Okay, important thing. So you see this warning signal here. This means that of items, of equipment of the same type that goes onto the seawater pump motors, so as we know, is item 66 and item 67, none of them are currently in stock, and this is why you see this 0 here. Okay, so we're not talking about each individual equipment, we're talking about the group, and there's currently no motor that can go into the seawater pump motors position available for use. So the system warns you that there's something not right with this container. So basically, this is how we control groups of items or equipment that can go into the same position. We can tell what's going on with each of those motors, in this case equipment in general. We know what is going on with each one of them, but we also know what's going on with the group. Okay, so anyway, let's go, now that we know that the group itself needs some attention, we either need to repair the motor that we removed as soon as possible so that we have a spare, or we need to get a new one. But definitely this will show you items that need attention. By the way, just another thing that you can do, and I said I was going to go through that a while ago. If you go back to the dashboard, and on the top, we already know that if we click here, because everything has been approved, there's no more pending. But let's take a look at the warnings, and the warnings are exactly that. These are items that are below ordering level. So let's click in that. It will auto filter to show you just that. And okay, we have another one that was used in a previous example, but we also have container 68, and container 68 is below ordering level, so we need to do something about this. So I've showed you how you control quantities of groups of equipment, but now let's see the history and the logging of history for each component. So if we go, let's say I want to see what happened, let's a year down the line, I want to see what happened to item 66. Okay, so we go to the properties of item 66. The properties right here are a snapshot of the current condition of the motor, where it's at, what it's doing, where its storage position is. But if you go to the log item, you can see that there's a few things that have been added to this. The first, okay, obviously I've added the system, the equipment, item 66 before. Then in this time, at this time, this date, sorry, at this time, there was the item 66, so the motor was placed inside a container. As you can see here, currently current quantity defaults to 1, because every item that is placed inside a container, its current quantity always defaults to 1, and the minimum quantity also always defaults to 0. Okay, so you know that if you place an equipment inside a container, this is going to happen for sure. So the log will always save this information. You know this has been added to a container, but you can also know that change, because it will tell you what container it went to. So change parent container from none, so it wasn't inside any container, to C water pump motors DH1 motors container. Okay, so then after it did all that, so I'd say that these are administrative changes that are logged in the system. Technical historic data that is saved by the system starts here. Okay, so in work order 829, at this time, on this date, it was reserved for what? For installation. So this item, motor 66, was reserved by on work order 829 for installation. Okay, and then a few minutes after, okay, of course this is only a demo, you'd see maybe a day after, it's also me, but it would be the supervisor, that person did a full parts approval on order 829. So 2 years from now, okay, and you look at this log, and of course there will be many more lines on this log, it will tell you what work order, and from there, because you can go on to the work order by following this link, it will tell you who did the job, how the job was done, because we will have work reports on the work order, so you can tell exactly what has been done during on that work order to this motor. You know that the motor was reserved from stock, item 66 was reserved from stock to go on to installation. So again, you know, if you go and check the date for this order, which was probably going to be very close to this other date, you moved, or somebody moved the motor from stock to the field. Okay, so in the future, when you move from the field to repair, which we're gonna look at motor 67, which we know was on the field and then it was moved to repair. So let's go take a look at motor 67. So we're inside the container again, and we've just been on 66. We go to 67. Let's see the history of this other motor. What happened to it? So as you can see, it's currently tagged as under repair. We know because there was this order, this work order, where we remove it from the field and put it under repair. And let's take a look at how the log is different from the previous one. So as you can see, it's work order reserved, so it was used on a work order, but instead of to install as the previous one, this was to repair. So it was in service and it went to repair, and this move was approved in this step, or in this line in the log. So you know what happened, and like I was saying, now if you use the same motor, let's do that. Okay, so this has been repaired, and let me think about it, how we can do. Okay, let's create another work order, because okay, this is a different job. The first job was to remove the motor from stock. This one is to repair the motor I just said. So we're just gonna go and do this. Okay, so think about this a little bit. Well, the motor is currently in repair, so actually we should have done another order with the repair action of the motor. We now need to return the motor to stock because it has been repaired. And the way that you do that actually is not through a work order. You need to go another way, because the work order that you could create is a work order. You could do it through a work order, but it perhaps doesn't make too much sense. It's been repaired, the work order exists, and now it's going to be returned back to stock. And okay, like I said, you can do it with a work order, but let's actually do it another way. Let's go to equipment and tools. So see if we can find, okay, all the items that are in repair. But don't forget that this is an item that is inside a container, so we don't want to show only the containers, we want to show the items. So there we go. Okay, so this item is under repair, but we've just fixed it, so we know we're going to return it to stock. So let's do that. The way to do it is you go into the properties page. You see it's still under repair, it's on container 68. We go inside, and now we actually change the status to in storage, and we put this to, okay, now it's actually, okay, we will put the same date. It was a very fast repair. So we change the status of the motor of item 67. So well, let's go and do that. We are taken back to the properties page of item 67, and therefore in here, if we come back to the log, we'll have all of this stored basically. So you can see here, let's go back to what we already discussed. It was taken from the field and put to repair. It was approved, so that's all right. Yes, indeed, this happened. And then what happened was it was put back in storage. Okay, which is what I did. Okay, so it was put back in storage. As you could see, as you saw, I changed the date, but there is really no need to change the date, because the date when the equipment was set to storage is actually here. It's this one, so this is more accurate. But anyway, you don't lose anything by updating that information. But okay, what I wanted to show is that the logs contain the history of the equipment. You know where it was, how long it was in a certain position, who did it, how, and when. You know everything that happened to an equipment from the time you buy it, so the time you add it, to the time, like I said before, you dispose of that equipment. So this concludes the equipment part and the equipment manipulation part of Comet MMS. I hope you liked it, and I see you on another video. Thank you.